Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as your law intellect. It is 10:10 over here on the East Coast. So thank you guys for coming in for this late live. I posted on the community wall. Sometimes when I get information, I just post it if I can't immediately go live. But there were a few of you guys that said that you wanted me to go live and talk about this specific topic. Specifically, Tory Lanez decided that it was a good idea to make a statement. So on his Instagram, they're still active posting. I assume he's probably directing whoever to post on the Instagram. And he decided to make a statement. We're going to read that statement. And then I'm going to say, because typically, you guys, I go over court documents. I try to legally educate. I might give theories and my thoughts if you guys ask. But for this case, I'm had it up to here with Tory at this point. I really, really have. So I'm going to give a little, give my thoughts on what I think about this statement that he thought was a good idea to put out. Like he probably thought all the other shenanigans he's put out was a good idea. And but let me speak to a few of you guys and I'm gonna get right to it because I realize that it's super late on the East Coast for some of us that have to get up in the morning. So Patrick Humble, thank you. You were one of the first ones in here. Libertina, you said you bet this about to aggravate you. Okay, stay with. Well, honey, if you're looking for accountability, that ain't in here. Too feisty. I'm so glad he's locked up. Oh wow. Rhodey, Lady D, Carmel, Kimmy, Kim, Jeff, good evening. Thank you so much, Babs, TD, Miss B, P. Highland. Thank you guys so much for coming in this late to rock with your girl. So I'm going to post this right here. What his statement was for those of you that didn't see it. It is on my wall, so hopefully you guys read it already so you know what I'm talking about. So Tory felt it was a good idea because apparently he calls his followers the umbrellas, which is why these people come in my chat with all these umbrellas. I think a lot of that stuff is just ridiculous, but it's just my opinion. That's not what we're here for. It says, I have never let a hard time intimidate me. I will never, never let no jail time eliminate me. Regardless of how they try to spin my words, I have always maintained my innocence, and I always will. This week in court, I took responsibility for all verbal and intimate moments that I shared with the parties involved. That's it. In no way, shape, or form was I apologizing for the charges I'm being wrongfully convicted of. I remain on the stance that I refuse to apologize for something that I did not do. I faced adversity my whole life, and every time it looked like I would lose, I came up on top. This is nothing but another moment where my back is against the wall And I refuse to stop fighting till I come out victorious. Tough times don't last, tough people do. To my family, friends, and umbrellas, thank you for your continued support. See you soon. See you soon. Too Feisty said he is diabolical. Hey. You said you knew you was going to get ticked off. Well, I'm sure I'm going to tick off a lot of people with my commentary because I've said, little bits and pieces here and there, but I think it's time for him to have a real hard reality check. So what I want you guys to do, because I'm just going to talk for a minute and then we'll go back to the comments so that I can give my 2.5 cents. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure that you have subscribed if you haven't done so already. Welcome to all of the new subscribers. We have gotten a lot of new subscribers this week. Welcome to the Intellects. And we want your commentary. We want your opinion. We want your input because I think you guys do some great thought-provoking analysis over in the comments. And I don't think this will be any different when it comes to this statement that just came out. Wendy said, why umbrellas? That's weird. I don't know. I really don't know why he chose I don't know. Again, until I went down there, I really didn't know who Tory Lanez was. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I am in a different generation. That's more of my older kids' generation is what Tory Lanez is. So I didn't really know. You know what, Jacqueline, I'm not. Let me tell you what I think. As I said, Tory, I see you still just don't get it. Part of what got you in this position is you turning to the public, craving for the public's opinion, while thumbing your nose at the very court that held the freedom of you in their hands. The jury has found you guilty. If you're going to maintain your innocence, what you should have done is kept quiet, leave Meg Thee Stallion alone, stay off the internet, show the court that while you were on bond, you could be a law-abiding citizen instead of going back on various occasions because you had bond violations. There was even a tweet where you basically said you're starting not to even give a F about the court orders. But you, sir, did the total opposite. Then after you were convicted on all counts by a jury of your peers, you didn't change your behavior at all. I mean, I heard someone say that when you do the same things over and over again, expecting a different result, then that's some form of insanity. You did the same thing that got you here in the first place after you were convicted, posting DNA information that was misleading information, wasn't true. Talking about the DA, putting their names out there, that they held exculpatory evidence, means evidence that was in your favor, which is unethical, which could have caused issues even with their bar. Because this is how you feel you should act because you were called out on your stuff and had to face consequences. Then in Tory Lanez fashion, you chose to throw your money down the toilet yet again and hire another trial attorney. Yes, Jose Baez is a trial attorney. After the trial, which makes 0 sense. But what it showed, in my opinion, is that you believe, and it's probably based on past history, that somehow as long as you have a couple of dollars, you can pay a certain amount of money to make things go away. And apparently, allegedly, that's what happened with August Alsina. I don't know. I ain't seen documents, but that's allegedly what happened in that case. Your attorney, Mr. Peterson, Mr. Daystar Peterson, decided to wage an argument on your behalf, blaming your conduct on alcohol disorder, PTSD, which is rooted in childhood trauma, and generalized anxiety. You cannot make that argument without saying that you did something wrong, that you committed a crime. You did not get convicted of an argument. You did not get convicted of telling secrets. You, sir, got convicted of possessing a weapon and shooting it at somebody, namely Meg Thee Stallion or Megan P. And you know what? I was really feeling sorry for you. But the reason why I was feeling sorry for you is not what people think. It's because people around you have selfishly allowed you to make excuses for every action that you have made in your life. Let me be the first to tell you, they continue to do, as they're still doing, as we see in this statement, like with the comments up under this post, you a disservice. Because yes, I can only imagine and I can empathize with you that losing a mom at 11 years old is tragic. Just like a person who never knew who the heck their daddy was because he was a bum deadbeat is tragic. But that's what you call a contributing factor. You, sir, just like the rest of us, have faced trauma and tragedy. But we make a determining factor. We determine how we choose to move in life after those tragedies happen. You did what you wanted to do. You knew you shouldn't have a gun. You knew you shouldn't have had a gun. If a gun wasn't even there in the car, we wouldn't even be here today. You knew you didn't have a permit. You're an immigrant, but you chose to carry a gun in a car anyways. That was your first problem. None of this would even happen if a gun wasn't even there. That wouldn't have happened whether you was drunk, whether you were sober, whether you had issues, whatever it was. It wouldn't happen if you just didn't have the gun in the first place. You ain't do it because you didn't have an alcohol problem, mental problem, or anything else. You did it because you want to. You're the determining factor. Everything else that you're talking about in society with tragedies that we all go through is a contributing factor. I know several people that grew up without fathers, for example, and they said, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be the opposite of what my daddy was. I know people who have parents that are alcoholics and they run from alcohol instead of towards it. You chose to do what you did that night. Nobody else. You are allowing people to hype you up, but you're the only one that's doing time. That's what pisses me off. You allowed your attorney to put this ridiculous BET award ceremony video on. But one thing that attorney knew that day, Daystar Peterson, what he knew is that he was going to go home regardless to what that judge said. And he was going to get paid regardless to what that judge said. My personal opinion, and I said this in the beginning, and you guys can vouch for me in the comments. I do believe everyone was drunk that night. I do believe the incident is probably foggy for everyone. And you should have said that in the beginning. You were unclear about what happened that night. And I believe people were in your ear trying to make you clear on a situation that you was unclear about, giving you alternative theories, helping you with your lifelong practice of making excuses. That's just what I believe. You've made excuses your whole life. And Tory mentioned his faith. His father is a pastor. I told you guys, I spoke with him. Very nice guy. Tory spent a lot of his years ministering with his father. They were traveling ministers, so they did a lot of missionary work. So I believe him giving is innate. I do believe that he personally loves giving to people. I don't take that from him. I think it's admirable. I think it's a good thing that he actually goes out there. He doesn't just give money. And we all know it ain't a tax deduction because allegedly he wasn't even using it as a tax deduction, which he should have. So you should know, because you were born in a religious family, the story of Adam and Eve. The story of Adam and Eve, we all know If nobody even knows much biblically, you may not even be in the church. Everybody know about Adam and Eve in the very first book of the Bible, where the serpent came and told when the serpent came and basically bribed them, or whatever you want to call it, to eat the fruit of the tree. God came to Adam and said, why did you eat the fruit of the tree? You know what Adam said? That woman that you gave me is the reason why I ate the fruit of the tree. God said, that's just an excuse. You know why you ate the fruit of the tree? It's because you wanted to. That's why you ate the fruit of the tree, because you wanted to. Nobody else did it. And that's the same excuse that you're trying to give. But you know what happened to Adam? There was consequences to it. And that's what you're doing, is you're serving those consequences right now. You hire attorneys. Let's go back to the trial. You hire attorneys to give you advice because this is what they're trying to do. This is our expertise. We're supposed to tell you what we think is best for you and have your best interests. You had your own attorney, Sean Holly, tell you the Kelsey defense was dumb as hell and wasn't going to work. Yet and still, because Sean Holly can't be your attorney, and we all saw this in the email. She said, I don't think the Kelsey defense is going to work. You get an attorney to wage this unsupported defense. I don't care what Tory supporters say, that was unsupported. Point blank. I was in the courtroom. I don't care what any of y'all say. I don't care. Well, allegedly and by inference, there was no evidence, no admissible evidence that showed that Kelsey Harris did a doggone thing. And the most bizarre thing is you paid this man all of this money, and he felt it was a good idea to bring Kelsey up and open his statements. I knew right then you was likely going to go to jail. You don't even have a burden of proof. You don't have a burden of proof, but it just, the prosecution has the burden. So what you did was you shifted the burden onto yourself, which made the jury want to find and look and see, well, did he prove that Kelsey did it? That's probably what their determining factor was. They probably was like, he ain't proved that, and you didn't even have that burden. But because you didn't want to go with the attorney's advice, and you decided to I guess your attorney wrote with what you said without really no evidence, again, helping to feed your excuses that you have used your entire life. So get to this statement that I just read. And with this statement that you wrote, you're still in denial and you're still making excuses. What I hope from you, because believe it or not, I don't like see anybody going to jail, and this should have been avoided. I don't like see anybody in prison. This could have been avoided. It doesn't rehab you by any stretch of the imagination. Again, to me, it was just another form of slavery, is why it was first, developed in the first place. I'm clear on that. Very clear on the history behind it. But I believe you helped get yourself in prison with your mouth and your surroundings. But what I hope for you is that you learn that half the people you were around didn't give two flying figs about you. Most of those people are mad that you're not going to be out so that you could put more money in their pocket, more than they're mad that you're going to be in prison and not be there for your 6-year-old son. I hope you get the help you need, because you've been, you've had some success in life. And so I hope that you're able to get the help you need. But you got to stop making these excuses, bruh. You do. And I hope you eliminate those enablers that have helped feed you with these excuses. Everybody can be in the comments on the internet, free Tory. Tory ain't do it. But y'all not doing this time. Y'all not away from his son. He was in his son's life. Y'all not doing this time. He got to do this bit, and he going to at least do 7.5 years. And again, and I said it in the beginning, if you believe that you were innocent, I believe don't nobody know what happened. And the best thing would have been to say, look, I was drinking, I got a disorder, I don't know what's going on, and go get the help you need from the beginning. And I almost guarantee you, I don't think Meg ever wanted to take this as far as it went. But when you go on and you start bashing people's character, affecting their money, calling them liars, doing all of this because you got all these people in your ear cheering you on. They're cheering you on. Go ahead. Yeah. But all these people is at home sleeping in their bed next to their kids, but you in prison. All because people have allowed you to make excuses because of trauma that happened in your life. Bro, go get the help you need. Don't put out not a new statement. If you're going to go and appeal, go appeal. Do it in silence. Go get you an investigator because you're going to need some new evidence for whatever you're talking about because it just did not come out in trial. Go get you an immigration attorney because you're going to need it. How your attorney saying in his statements with a sentencing, he'll probably be deported anyways. Well, dang. You had too much at stake to play these games on ego in the public. When tomorrow half these people wouldn't even think about you. You know how fast people forget about you? 7.5 years. You know how fast people will forget about you. But that's who you catering to, the public, instead of making sure doing the best thing for your child and doing the best thing for you. Let me get to these comments. He done pissed me off. The jail mind and ghetto mind is crazy. He's going to be lunch for a lot of people. He ain't in the gang, so he has no side to be or anyone to protect him. This is unreal to me. And people, we got you, man. Free tour. It's like, y'all gotta be kidding me right now. And it was crazy. Even at the sentencing hearing, the judge was like, so you had 76 letters that came out, and everybody talks about how great you was. Nobody talks about none of these issues, none of these trauma, none of these. Well, his baby mom did talk about his mom passing away. But other than that, most of them just talked about how great he was, all the money he gave, blah, 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 blah. That does not negate. A lot of good people, a lot of bad people do good things. The judge said that. So that's nice. Like, you have been a contributor to society, but you also have been a damn menace to society too. And most of that, and one of the things that also pissed me off at that sentencing hearing, another excuse. His attorney said, this would not have happened if Tory had his regular his regular security guard that night. Because the regular security guard and the people around him, they know how to monitor his drinking. They know when he's done too much, when he's gone too far. They know when he should go home. But because he had this security guard didn't know, or this bodyguard didn't know what to do. So that's why this happened. You gonna blame the new security guard that's just there to look after him? That's who you gonna blame? Another excuse. No. It happened because Tory let this happen. And if you're so jacked up where you don't know what happened, I was so drunk that night and all of that, go with that. Because all y'all was drunk. I'm telling you, Meg did not want to be there. She was quiet at first. We didn't hear anything from her. She was quiet at first. So what that tells me is she really didn't want to be involved with this. But if you would have done something, at least it would have been some type of vindication, like, dang, I went this far with my friend. She's saying I did this. Let me go get the help I need. They probably would have put him in a rehab like he was asking. But you defending backwards. You denied. First you said it never happened. Then you said when Meg said it did happen and you did it, you said she a liar. Then you blamed Kelsey, and then Kelsey went through whatever she went through online because of that. Meg and Kelsey not cool no more. Then you went on to the DA. Then after post conviction, you went to the DA and they held evidence and they manipulated DNA and all this crazy stuff. Dude, it was you. Stop blaming everybody else. And all you people that keep allowing him and like cheering him on, y'all don't give about this dude. And it's sad. It's so sad that, especially when you become a celebrity, how people really don't care about you. You're nothing but a dollar sign to them. It is so many people biblically for him to read the Bible that make excuses. The man at the pool of Bethesda. Well, why you been sitting here? Oh, everybody running before me. My parents. I was born crippled. Jesus, like, take up your bed and walk. You the determining factor. And what you do, take up your bed and you walk. Why? Because you determine that day I'm going to get up and I don't want to be here no more. I don't want to be crippled no more. I don't want to be just sitting here no more. I don't want to be trampled over no more. Yes, it's a contributing factor. Things that happen in our life contribute. Sometimes it makes it harder. You have kids at a young age like I did. It made it harder. But I still went and got an education. Sometimes my kid had to go with me. Sometimes I had to go use my last $5 for a babysitter. Sometimes I had to make arrangements. I made my life harder. It was a contributing factor. But I determined that I was going to be a lawyer because that's what I determined to do. Stop blaming everybody else and making excuses for what you choose to do. You 31 years old and you still talking about because this and this happened and I was in a crack house and you're not the only one. You're not. I'm not trying to minimize it by no stretch of the imagination. But how can other people in your same situation continue to be successful people in life, but you get to have this excuse? No, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Thank you so much, HFG, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chef Don. Nah, I don't know what it was about that post. That was really like, nah, because I wasn't even planning on going live about this today at all. I was done with Tory. I was over it. If anybody want to come in and say give their opinions and what their thoughts are, I just put the link in the chat. Renee said exactly, his supporters need to grow up too. We teach our children to be accountable. That's it. Now, if you want to maintain your innocence, what your attorney did was not you maintaining your innocence. If he wants to say your conduct should be blamed on alcohol issues, mental health issues, you have to have a crime that you committed. You was not convicted of an argument. You was not convicted of revealing alleged who you were sleeping with. You was not convicted of any of that. So, no. Hey there. Can you hear me? A lady 747, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can, Pam.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I hear echo. Can you hear echo too?
I don't hear it.
Okay. Great coverage. Thank you so much for doing this. I haven't been around for a while, but you're doing good.
Thank you.
You know what? There is a crisis of accountability in our community, but in the American community. And with social media, people have an audience and they have a following to bolster that mindset. And it has gotten worse and worse and worse. And I don't see it changing.
Yeah.
And so everything you say, I support 110%. You're absolutely right. It is frustrating. And the fact that he won't take accountability and his followers won't, like you said, he could have avoided all of this. He could have gotten off with time served or
Man, listen.
anything. This could have been totally the I'm speechless. But then you know what really pisses me off is how people are attacking still to this day Megan. It's like they don't even care what the law says. They want to strike out at someone because they're fave, and why he is their fave, I do not know.
Yeah.
But the
thing is, like you said, and even if he was innocent, let's just say he really didn't do it. But from what I gathered, he was so drunk he really doesn't know, which means that people probably was in your ear giving you scenarios and theories on what could have happened. But Meg said it was you. So she was a witness. That's evidence. She said it was you. Nobody else said anything else that you're talking about. Why not spend your time and your money trying to get behind the scenes, an investigator, interview people, find video that wasn't there, anything that may at least bolster up your theory? Instead, you go to the media and you get people to say, you right, and we gonna troll people that don't believe in you. And we're gonna do this and that. That don't work in the court of law. Either you're gonna do it in the court of public opinion or the court of law. You can't do both.
100% agree.
Hey, Sin.
Hey, Pam. Hello, everyone.
Good evening, everybody.
Coming up.
Oh,
go ahead, Icy. Go ahead and say what you have to say.
I'm glad that it's in a sense over, because from day one, as just like I said, a young woman, I've always sympathized with Meg. I tweeted yesterday that, my heart goes out to her even more, because after having gone through all of this, I don't know what I would do if I couldn't go and curl up underneath my mom and cry to her about how I was feeling. And she doesn't have that, to lose her majority of her support system, either they passed or they just weren't really there to support her. I sincerely sympathize with her, not even just as a fan, but just woman to woman, person to person. So, but this whole thing has just been a hot mess from day one, which was intentional on their part, and it's probably never going to be over for her. The effects of this case and what he sought out to do is so harmful and damaging in the long run. I've been seeing conversations where people are like, oh, the industry don't really mess with Meg, or, the other rap girls, that's why they don't speak out in defense of her. They don't really like her. And I'm saying, well, part of the reason why is because he poisoned the well. That's why she came out in the first place. He made it a point to go after her career wise. I mean, even when she says nothing, there's always people who have something to say about that. The men have turned against her. People making songs about her and, making a big joke out of this whole thing. And unfortunately, the women are either co-signing with the men, or out of fear that they too will get backlash, they're remaining silent. So they hope it don't blow back on them. So she really is navigating this situation semi by herself. And I hate that for her. It just speaks as a whole, no matter how strong the evidence. I mean, we have that phone call. We have Kelsey's initial statement to the police. We have Meg herself saying, hey, I saw this. This is what happened. The fact that the gun was in his possession, it really did matter, because he said, as a man, she's lying. So any amount of evidence, it just doesn't matter. She's just always lying.
Yeah. So let me address this real quick with Santivia. If I remember, she said, if I remember correctly, in the appeal, only transcripts can be used. No new evidence will be looked up. That is correct. As it pertains to the appeal portion of it, you only use the transcripts, and it's what if it's preserved. So if the attorney objected, which this attorney didn't do much of that, if he objected to certain things, or maybe he argued a lot on sidebar and we didn't hear it, but if he objected though and the judge ruled against him, then those are appealable issues. You preserved it for the record. However, I do, as a person that does post-conviction work, what I do is I go find new evidence. And if you have new evidence in the interest of justice, you can always bring back for a new trial, requesting a new trial, or even an ineffective assistance of counsel trial, evidentiary hearing to show, hey, this was evidence that was found that could not have been found before for whatever reasons. So there are other avenues aside from appeals that you can take. And I actually somewhat discussed that with his father when I was there during the trial. I can't remember if it was after he was convicted or maybe before. No, I don't think I talked to him after he was convicted. To let them know, so that's just another evidence. But generally, you're correct. But there are other ways. The new evidence would be a whole different motion. Or even if you do what's called a habeas in federal court, they'll look at it to say when you're actually innocent based on the record. Because you have people back in the day, we didn't have DNA to heighten technology. So now you have people getting out from the 80s because the technology is heightened, or you have these familial, they can trace you from familiar with all these ancestry.com and all of that now they're finding people. And yes, if that's considered new evidence, and they can let you out of prison for that. So him doing a whole nother trial attorney was ridiculous to me. But with what you're saying too, Feisty, I agree with you. She was by herself. Like, she doesn't have her mom, she doesn't have her grandmother. What she had there was, I think, in California, was her and her manager. So the fact that she got shot in her foot and still got back in the car with somebody lets you know she didn't feel like she had no place to turn in the first place. Because I ain't getting back in the car with you. But if you don't got a phone to call nobody, you don't know nobody, you in the middle of nowhere, you in the white, you're vulnerable, you're uncovered. And I do believe she was uncovered in that situation. So I agree with you. That probably did affect her. Hey, Sin, what you got to say, sis?
Girl, first off, when I read the statement he wrote, I'm sorry to say this, but he puts me in the mind of Lamore. Okay. And not taking accountability for what he's done and want to blame everybody else for his wrongdoings. And it's sad because as Black women, you know, once we get the justice that we need, we get blackballed by our own community. In some cases, if we've been vindicted by, a brother, a man of color. But my heart goes out to her because I'm motherless. My mom's gone. I don't have anybody to turn to, and I can understand that she has. I think and we're both from Texas, put it like that. She surrounded herself with the people that were there for her, like Jay-Z and Beyonce. I think Tory needs to really go deep in his soul and stop taking calls and making calls to people that were in his ear. Because I just posted something on my Facebook page, says, all your friends, when you're in trouble, you'll know who your friends are. Who's in jail with him? Nobody.
That's the point. Regardless, when you sit next to that defendant, there may be a chance that he may not go home, but you're gonna go home. I mean, unless you go do something ridiculous and get held in contempt. But for the most part, you're gonna go home. For the people that are saying Meg lied 100 times, I see it in the chat. Do you know victims lie a lot? Exactly. They lie a lot, and they come back and they recant. That's not uncommon. That's what I'm saying. And do you think the jury didn't hear it? You can say you don't believe her and you have that right, not to believe her. That's your opinion. But what I'm saying is the credibility, regardless, at the end of the day, the jury of his peers believed her. And you think that the defense didn't bring up all the alleged lies that they said that she said? Everything that y'all saying in the public was brought up. The jury seen every single statement that she made, whether it was inconsistent, all the additions, all the deletions, all the changes, whatever was different, and they still believe that he shot her.
We still. I'm sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
He and I don't understand it. I mean, it's just now you're behind bars. Now you still want to blame everybody else. And the sad part about it, until you can take accountability for your actions, you will continuously be behind bars. And no matter if he gets an appeal or whatever.
This is a pattern, Sam, not to cut you off. This is a pattern.
Yeah.
While you're on bond, you sucker punch at August Alsina because he didn't give you a handshake. That means that's not the first time that you did. You got anger issues. So everybody can support him, but everybody keeps forgetting about all of the past issues. And then they're saying he did not have a record. So that helped him in this situation. So he was in the mid-range as opposed to the high range of sentencing. But so he did not have a record. I think he had a gun charge back in Florida, but it was in a diversion program. So after he finished whatever he did, they dismissed the case. So in theory, you don't have a record. But the thing is, you have a pattern of doing things. And then to get 76 people, along with all the people that was there in person, to just talk about how great you are, but nobody said, there are times when I've seen Tory act out of character because he masks his alcohol. He masks his issues and trauma with alcohol. Nobody said a negative thing about you. They did a disservice because nobody says a negative thing about you in real life. And that's why you think you invincible. And that's why you just pay your way. Your friends, half your friends are bought, Tory. Half of them are bought. When you ain't got the money, they gonna turn around. Now we know that your finances have pretty much depleted according to the testimony that was taken. How many of your friends about to go and make sure that you got whatever you need for the appellate portion? Because ain't nobody doing it for free. So
Nope.
how many friends do you have that's gonna go ahead and help you with that? Let me answer this question real quick. I wanted to know though, if the fighting really did occur that night, why didn't they all get charged with something, or can they only pick one crime to prosecute? Assault, disorderly conduct? No, they could have brought charges against everybody. What I think occurred was, I know with Kelsey, she didn't even do her interview till a year or so later, when she came with pictures and all of that saying that he assaulted her. So like a lot of this stuff was so piecemeal trying to put it together, but they could have brought it if they wanted to. That wasn't anything that they were focused on. So,
I think what really got him was what he did when he was out on bond.
oh yeah, that gave him an aggravating factor. What you call an
Yep.
aggravating factor, which enhanced it, because he did so much crap post conviction and pre conviction that it was ridiculous. After the incident, I should say, after the incident happened, and you're just waiting, like you said, on bond. He did so much stuff. Like the fact that you had a protective order and you brought your little self over there to the Rolling Loud concert, knowing you wasn't supposed to be there, knowing Meg was on slated to perform, and you go on there with a mask, go on to the stage, and then take the mask off, and everybody go crazy, knowing that this woman you have a protective order against, and then it was considered a violation.
Yep.
And all you do is go to jail for a day, pay your little money, and keep it moving. You was trying to intimidate her, in my opinion. That was your point of doing that, and the court recognized that. All them shenanigans and stuff, it just came to bite you. That's what happened. Go ahead, St. James. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what I wanted to speak to was this ridiculousness of what happens with church folk, and they get caught up in some mess like this. As soon as he got out, they posted, no weapon formed against me. Listen here. We don't need your scriptures now. Just like the dad, during the trial, when he was ranting and raving and throwing out scriptures and, pretty much naming Tory as the modern day martyr, it's like they always go there. And me being, grew up in church and things like, I just see that all the time. They use the Bible to weaponize their to cover up their foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
And no weapon formed. That ain't got nothing to do with you. You have the weapon in your hand, and you formed it.
Exactly.
And you
formed your own damn weapon.
Yeah. So let's not talk about weapons. And
St. James, don't forget this daily prayer. They said moving everybody up in the jailhouse. Every day he give a daily prayer to have everybody stirred up spirit
and got
saving souls in prison.
And got them two melanated people out there, talking about it. He's a great guy, and he okay. Pray for 7.5-ish years.
Yeah, he because that's what he gonna do for sure. He gonna at least, hey, thank you so much for the super chat. But yeah, they talked about the prayer stuff. That's cool. Maybe that's what all things work together, right, St. James? So maybe that's what he's supposed to do. Is he's supposed to go in there and snatch some souls up in prison?
Yeah, and you know what?
Supposed to do.
Yeah, that. But you know what? This may be a huge blessing in disguise for Tory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the unfortunate part is nothing else. When you are slapping and sucker punching people because they're not saying hello to you, because you have this short man syndrome, and your mama died, so you gonna make everybody else suffer for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
No, this may be the thing that will actually wake him up. Obviously, his daddy ranting and raving ain't gonna wake him up. That's not working. That didn't work. See, they ranting and raving, like you said, Pam, because he can't go to no concerts and make no cash. And it's going to be sad singing and flower bringing for that family while he's in prison.
Right. I agree. And the reason why I'm saying, y'all, he's going to do probably 7.5 years because, first of all, he's already got credit for 306 days, for 304, 306, some dang near a year he got credit for. So off rip, it would have been 9. Then you only do 85% typically in California. So it's probably going to be about 7.5 years. And it may be other stuff he can do. A lot of times in prison, they'll give you credit if he actually does do treatment. If he does certain things that are in there, they may knock some of your time off. So, and I'm not like snuffing like that's, you know, and for those saying we can't stand Meg, she gave him 10 years. She ain't the judge. She ain't giving him nothing.
She didn't even press charges. Come on.
And didn't say shoot me.
That's that narrative that I'm so sick of. She didn't even press charges. She wasn't even compliant at first. She flat out lied about what happened to her.
Yes.
And she had no control.
Point. And they're using it against her. She lied to protect you, but y'all using it against her like she a liar because she initially said he didn't do it.
Pam, you know, we got people who just hate Black women, but I didn't want to go down that route. I wanted to ask you a question. Do we have to pay for this? I mean, I've heard of cases where people get charged for being in prison. I don't want the taxpayers to pay 1 red cent for him. That's why I wanted him deported and have to serve time. I wanted him to be serving time in Canada. So will he have to pay like a restitution or anything like that? And can Megan sue him?
He did have a restitution. She can absolutely sue him. She actually should, but I don't think she would because she wants this to be over. She says she cannot bear being in the same room as him, and that's why she did the statement that she did. She doesn't even want to be in the same vicinity because she was trying to show up and be there in person because she felt it would be more impactful. But she says she just couldn't do it. So that's why she did the statement.
Okay, so then as far as the court charges, you know, the court time, will he be charged for all of that, you know, expenses?
He did get restitution. I can't remember how much it was, but yes, he was slated with restitution. I don't know if he has to pay her. Maybe he has to pay her bills. You know, sometimes you do have to pay like a victim. They have like the you know what I'm trying to say, St. James, the victims. Like
the victim. I know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying. It's late, you know. I can't think.
I
think she lied really to protect Toya herself because she could have been charged too that night. What was she going to be charged with, Sean Adams?
Right.
Exactly.
You have to tell me.
Pam, I have a question. I'm sorry. I have a question for you, Pam.
Crafty Queen, why am I discussing Megan's behavior? They was all drunk. What else do you want me to say?
Yeah.
They was all drunk. You know, I have no problem with people believing who they want to believe. But my thing is, at least all I ask is, where is your authority? I say that all the time over here. Where is your authority? I sat in that trial. I'm not doing this on hypothetical. Right. I sat in that trial for 2 weeks. Y'all know I got stuck in California because of the snowstorm. Couldn't leave. And it was literally like, y'all talked about Rock Nation did it. Nobody from Rock Nation took the stand. I was sitting there waiting. I'm gonna see some contracts. I'm about to
that's what Daddy said.
Text. I'm about to see something. Y'all, what we say as lawyers in opening and closing is not evidence, so it don't matter. Right. They tell you in the jury instructions to disregard it. So why would you, as the lawyer, make all of these statements that you know you can't prove? Why would you mention Rock Nation, but you ain't got nobody from Rock Nation up here saying, at minimum, we don't even know if they even offer him a contract in real life. That never even came up.
That's never been floating on the internet.
Yes, this case has been one conspiracy theory after the next this entire time. Since the day it went, that it spread across social media that there was an arrest that night. Before we even knew what happened, we just knew that they had been arrested. It's been one conspiracy theory after the next. Nothing, almost everything that's come from his side has been not rooted in facts. It's all just been conspiracies.
And it makes people look so ignorant. It makes our Black people look so freaking ignorant. But I'm seeing this whole thing not just you know, in the Black community. It's just this whole thing with, because I love him or I love her, they cannot serve time. They cannot be guilty. And I'm going to find a reason, even if it makes no sense, to make them seem innocent in my mind. And it has to be true. It's like mass hysteria. It's crazy.
No, the question was immunity. Why did Kelsey get immunity? Because she saw on the internet they were saying she did it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't she go plead? I would advise her to plead the fifth.
And anything can happen in a court.
Yeah.
Something can flip and she'll be in prison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So she did the right thing. She should have pled the fifth.
You know what I hate about the situation is when we were first introduced to like Megan and Tory together, they looked so happy as friends, as whatever they were. They really
like
did look like they
I
really
agree.
enjoyed each other, loved each other. And I know that love thing gets real, real sticky because you know, us men, we don't know what cling to your wife or cling to one mean. We have no idea what that means. So, but I think it really, that's another reason why she just cannot stand, I'm sure, to be in the same room with him because it was a total betrayal.
Yeah. Well, what Tory said was when he did his statement, he mentioned that he felt Meg was still his friend, and it sounded to me they had a trauma bond, St. James,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they both lost their mom, and so they
Mm-hmm.
would sit there and drink until they were numb.
Mm.
And so people talk, Meg was known for going live and drinking on lives and getting
Yeah.
drunk and all of that. And that's how she is, how she coped is what and that's what their bond was. He didn't say it was a trauma bond, but that's pretty much what he
Yeah, that's what it
explained in
was.
that's what he
Mm-hmm.
explained, that's what connected them. I mean, it probably wasn't much beyond we drink together, we make it, and it was during the quarantine, it was all during
Yeah.
the pandemic. So they would
Yeah.
go, their security guard was taking them over each other's house. That's why a lot of people didn't even know they was kicking it like that. Kelsey found out that night in the vehicle, I guess, when Tory got mad and said, "Yeah, that's your homegirl, but did she tell you I was banging her?" Because you all
Right.
know that Tory was messing with Kelsey first, and it was actually a hookup from Meg told Kelsey to talk to Tory in the first place.
Mm.
So yeah,
I
why
never
do you
trusted
think
it.
on
I
the phone
always
call
found him
with
questionable.
Kelsey? Wait a second. Why do
Okay,
you
I got a
think?
question. Oh,
Hold
go
on
ahead.
1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me get this super. Thank you so much, Simon, again for the super chat. Why do you think on the phone call with Kelsey said that Mega's team was already on it? What does that mean? I never understood that. I would just be speculating because I'm not really sure what you're referring to, but I think immediately everybody was trying to do their PR thing
Yeah.
immediately when it happened. Like that's
Because
what
of
I
that.
got from a lot of the conversation, that a lot of them were doing the PR thing. But go ahead with your question.
Now, isn't it true that, since he is going to prison, doesn't have a record, they get so much dropped off of their time?
Well, when the record doesn't have anything to do with dropping it from while he's in prison, but it did have something to do with his sentencing guideline initially, because you have lower, middle, and you have upper, and then you can go beyond the guidelines if a judge feels like there's enough information that would allow that to happen. But in this case, it was middle, and part of that was because he did have mitigating circumstances, which would reduce it because he didn't have a record. He also had a low risk of recidivism because he didn't have a record like that. There was an evaluation that they felt that he would never do this again. Like he didn't have a chance of re-offending. It wasn't a high
Mm.
chance of that. So that worked in his behavior, in his favor. Then the judge also gave him a little bit of credit for all of the philanthropic work that he's done. So he got that as well. So, but
Mm.
hey, Deanne, how are you?
Hello, Attorney Pam, and thank you. Greetings to the panel. I wanted to first come up and thank you for the wonderful breakdown you have been giving us from a legal perspective, documents, explanation. Our community needs that, and extra special because you, as a Black woman, have done it this way so that no one can say that it's just the foolery that some of the men are accusing Black men women of around this. I want to just say thank you for what you've done in
Thank you for
helping
the
us get
kind words.
understanding. Now, the second thing I want to say is I live in California, and
Me too.
sitting Vice President Kamala Harris started in San Francisco, where I live, and was Attorney General in the state. So there are a couple things that people are ignorant about, particularly the men who are whining about this, don't understand about California. No, Meg did not have to come get Tory. The state of California, I work with law enforcement officers. I filled in as unofficial private investigator on some things. I know law enforcement officers that have sat in the meetings where California is building prison cells for every black individual who is male down to 9 years old. So when you do the crime here, they may take their time, but they're just trying to talk to who they have private prison contracts with to see where they're gonna put you.
It's
That's what
definitely for profit. We know that
Yep.
prisons are for profit, and also they decide, they build them based on how many people are in the third. I think it's the third
The
grade.
fourth. I've been
Fourth.
in those, I have law enforcement officers who've been in those meetings and have told me they were at the meeting the year that was openly said. So when
Mm.
you let your black male behind do a crime in California, just understand. Let me also share, since I mentioned Kamala Harris. Here's what you do to get off time in California every summer. Now, Tory Lanez may not come up with this for this because he's celebrity status, but anybody want to go fight some fires on in California?
Right.
Convicts are forced to do that, or
Yep.
shall I say, they're offered that opportunity. Anybody on the news has seen the campfire, running at 15 miles an hour through different areas? Anybody want to suit up and go fight that stuff? That's the kind of thing you have to do because California is making more money with you in prison. Y'all look up the black male unemployment rate sometimes. California is making more money with you in prison than out. So if you do want to knock some stuff off your time, that's not going to be easy for you to do. It's August, meaning that before the end of, let's say, November, when it finally starts raining here, Tory Lanez may have an opportunity to knock some time off. Did you understand what I said about how this has to get done? And the fact that he is still completely delusional, if I understood what you presented of his statement.
I just did the statement now.
He's
Now, like I'm
delusional.
not putting it on you. I could be misunderstanding.
No, you don't. It's clear. He's delusional.
So
Mhm.
I am not someone. I have good, loving relationships with black men in general, and I hate to see a young man put himself in this kind of situation. But I'm gonna need everybody else who's still outside and free to understand. Don't come to Cali and do this. This state loves Kamala Harris, who is our vice president, under Joe Biden, whose record is very clear, who set up laws to make sure that black men would be in jail longer than white men for the same charges. Kamala Harris, who set it up that even if you do this firefighting and everything else, California employers do not have to consider that when you get out to give you a job. So we're going to enslave you here, make all this money off of you, and then throw you out and gentrify you and move you from place to place and move you into a position where we can put you back. Please do not come to California and say dance B to any black
I
woman.
know the gun charges are really something else there
It
because we
is
got an automatic 2
ridiculous.
years in Michigan. I
Yes.
think y'all is like 4 or something. I was like, dang.
Look, 5 and up. Look
Oh,
at it this way.
wow. Yeah.
California doesn't love black women either. If you go do your history about the state of California, the state of California has attempted to gentrify black people out of existence here 6 times since the gold rush. California doesn't care about Megan the Stallion anymore. But the thing is, you got caught out there with a gun. You got caught out there with a Canadian record. You got caught out there being a man who had a sense of a temper. You got that out being, you know, out, drunk and disorderly. And you had that gun. He was going to get 6 if he got nothing else. He was
Yeah.
fortunate in California. He could have been sitting up there. The other thing is, Tory Lanez is a young man. California sized him up and said, we can get at least a good decade work off of him. But it could have been 20 years.
No, it could have been more. Yeah, the prosecutor asked for 13 years in the mid range of the guidelines, but in theory, when you look at that he had more than one aggravating factor. So the judge could have done more and decided not to. So we have to give him that. And Elite Leo makes a valid point. Remy did 8 years for shooting someone. The Brad did 6 years for hit. That's a great point. I think people
Yeah.
forget that this ain't the first time. It's the supporters though. Y'all not helping them. To all you umbrellas or whatever you call yourself,
That's right.
you're not helping him. You're not helping him at all by helping him stay in his delusion and his excuses. First, if you were so drunk you don't even remember what happened because we heard the calls, we heard the text messages. You act like you don't even know what happened. Oh my God, it was
Right.
just crazy that night. I drunk so many shots. He said before he came in, he had to drink like 3 shots at Kylie's house or something like that before he even started, like walking in the door.
When are we gonna figure out that we need to stay away from the Kardashians?
Exactly. I was about to say that. Not one of them came to testify and say what a good person he is.
No, they wasn't some.
It's an addiction. It's an addiction.
Remember, they were supposed to actually, I think it was Chris's boyfriend was there, Corey Gamble. He was there, and he was on the witness list, but none of them doggone Jenner Kardashians came. Not one. They lawyers was like, yeah, not today, folks. We ain't getting involved in this.
Pam, you know, if he needs to get deported back to Canada, but I heard Canada's prisons are like you're living in your own apartment, and you go to work and you come back in. Do you think that they'll deport him, or do we have to serve his time here first and to get deported?
He will serve his time here first, but and I also heard by a lot of, we have Canadian followers, they said he ain't even big in Canada like that. I don't know how true it is. You know, Canada is on the street for me. It take me 15 minutes to get to Canada. I forget sometimes it's another country. But for real, we just go over. We got our little hand fight. We just go over there just to eat. But that's why it's like he's from Canada. I'm sitting up here like, so what? It took a minute for the click. Like, fool, that's a whole other country. What you talking about? But yeah, he they said he's not even that big of a deal. So it's gonna hurt him financially for him if he's not able to come over here. It's gonna definitely hurt. And then the thing is, let's just say another reason to flee would have been you may get it reduced to something of which you don't have to get deported or not permanently banned. You're not always permanently banned from the US with what you do. It depends on what you do. This right here will probably permanently ban him. If he gets married, will he get to stay here? Sean Adams.
That's interesting.
Sean Adams. Listen. So he has a baby mama that's here, right? So she got up there and she said that, you know, that was the baby mom, that was my kid's father. This is my best friend and my partner. She never mentioned in none of her conversation that was, you know, they were engaged or anything like that. When Tory got up there to talk, he said, Your Honor, I want to be here for my son and my fiance.
How convenient.
So he made her his fiance, and I was like, fiance? When the baby mama? Because she done got upgraded overnight. The day before, she said she was the partner. But if you was smart, Tory, you should have married her before this trial, boo.
Right.
If you was smart, you should have married her before this trial.
That would have been busy on the phone lying. You're too busy on the phone lying and making calls from prison. You should have been calling the justice of the peace.
But that was good, Sean. That really did come up.
Dang.
Sean said they have a lot of people in Canada and they love Tory there. Okay.
The thing about it, though, we didn't hear nothing about the poor baby mama. All we heard was he was sleeping with Kelsey and Meg and whoever and flirting with Kylie. So that's
exactly. So it was like even the baby mama coming, making it like this is my best friend. I mean, this kid is so. She kept saying this kid, so I guess that's how they talk. But she was like, this kid is just so wonderful, and he's the rock of our family, and he's this and he's that. He's the best thing since sliced bread, and he's the great father, and he does education, you know, with them. And my son, he's a disciplinary, but he's never hit him, but he's a disciplinary. And my son is scared of him, and da 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 and blah blah, and he misses him, and he's doing horrible. They showed a letter from the kid and everything. It was sweet. They put on the little Elmo. So I'm like, okay, so that's nice. But then the judge asked the question, okay, I've read through 76 of these letters, and I've also listened to everyone's conversation. Nobody has mentioned him having an alcohol problem. So then suddenly the next day, Jose Baez is like, we want to redo. Yeah. So then they had her come up, and she talks about how he allegedly blacked out in Europe. a couple of times. He had alcohol poisoning. He had to go to the hospital and he had to get IVs. Now you coming up with stuff. There's no way you've been with this man since the 6th grade or been cool with him off and on since the 6th grade. Because I think they lost contact because he was put out his grandma's house. He was a bad kid. He was couch to couch, pillar to post. So he was all over the place. And then he ended up on her couch. That's how they got back together. They went to middle school together. So he ended up on her couch, and then I guess they started kicking it again. But obviously, he was doing what he wanted to do. Now, he must have made sure she was okay. He bought her a house, take care of his son, and all of that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm sure he did all that. But
yeah, but she kind of made a comment of, I don't really know what happened that night, and it's none of my business. So in my opinion, it was like, that ain't really, y'all wasn't together, you guys. And she mentioned co-parenting. That's all she mentioned was co-parenting. Like, I don't say I co-parent because I'm married. It's like, you got responsibility, I got responsibility. You
and then the next day, she's a fiance.
Yeah, he called her the fiance. I said, honey, you should have thought of that lick months ago. That should have been last year's legal advice.
Yeah,
exactly. Should have had the daddy to marry him.
Ain't gonna help you now, buddy.
But he'll probably try to get married behind bars.
Yeah, that ain't gonna work.
Mitts and Black, do you really want to hear my thoughts on Jose Baez? Do you really want to hear my thoughts?
Do you think he's gonna go for ineffective counsel?
I would. I would. But with Jose Baez, my issue, like I said, and he made, obviously he's gotten Casey Anthony off, which we still don't understand how that happened. And then he got Hernandez, the football player, the first murder trial that he did, he got him off, so, and he, he lost, like, I don't know if Jose Baez was the attorney, but I know he ended up obviously getting convicted of a murder because dude was Trip Hernandez. But the thing with Jose Baez, he just came across to me as this was an opportunity to be back in the media. We ain't really heard of him. This is just my opinion, Jose. Yeah. No shade. You still brother counsel. But you came all the way from Florida, and it really wasn't anything that you can do. You keep mentioning, I wish I could have tried this case, like it would have went a whole nother. If it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. So that ain't got nothing. You came post conviction. You're not an appellate attorney, and you're not from California. So that means you don't know their laws. It was obviously you didn't know their laws because some of the motions you filed allegedly were incorrect. Even though you had local counsel, it was a young guy that was new. That was his local counsel. So then he had to get a more seasoned person to come in because the young guy wasn't helping like that, because he new to the game himself. But it was like he did this whole thing. I've never met anybody that has ever done this type of philanthropy work. Then you come with this stupid argument that all this happened because he was drunk, but you won't admit that he committed any crime. It was just the dumbest thing. Like I said before, gave the analogy. How will I say I'm going at self-defense when I'm being accused of murder, but I won't even acknowledge that I murdered somebody? That doesn't even make any sense. And that's what it looked like to me. I'm like, dude, you're not making sense. But everybody knew Jose Baez was going to do a press conference. They was out there with the cameras. I got a couple of videos of him talking. And he was like, basically they're going to appeal. I hope he gets an appellate attorney because Jose Baez that's not what he does. And get somebody in that state. It was no need to fly Jose Baez from Florida, pay all that extra money. And he acknowledged he's the one that brought it out that Tory has a hard time paying all these expensive lawyers at this table. Well, honey, honestly, the way it was looking, he could have represented himself.
Right.
I'm just saying. He could have tapped me on the shoulder like, Pam, what you think I should say next? And I probably would have did a better job.
Would you have represented him? Would you have represented him, Pam?
Who, Tory?
Yeah.
In the beginning.
You would have.
I've done defense work in the beginning, and I would have gave, if I felt like, dude, you did it, I'd have been like, you have an alcohol problem? I've gotten people on diversion programs that he's trying to do. Because at the end, when you complete them, you don't have a record. That's what you want.
Exactly.
So but at least you're acknowledging, you're taking accountability. I'm okay with grace. I am a fan of grace and mercy because God knows I've gotten a lot. But for the grace of God, there go I. Like, seriously. So I am, but you got to acknowledge it. He just won't acknowledge it, and you got people around you helping you not acknowledge it.
See, that's what they miss in that Bible that they've been reading and quoting and his daddy yelling out. You have to acknowledge and You still have to pay for what you do, but it's okay. Acknowledge what you've done wrong. Don't. But he's not. He's not admitted anything. So we can't.
Sounds
We can't put
familiar.
the Bible on it because you
Sounds
won't admit it.
familiar.
No Bible for you. No Bible. No Bible. We don't want to hear no Bible scriptures because you refuse to acknowledge your. You have to. What they tell you? First, you got to confess your sins, and you got to acknowledge that He is.
Come on,
You know
say
all
that.
that.
That's what the word
So
say.
if you don't even do that in your own life, confess what you've done wrong, feel sorry, turn from your wicked ways. But unfortunately, there's some things that you may have to go through. But that diversion may have been something good, or they could have went another way with it. We never know.
Yeah. No, I think it would have helped him in the beginning. That's why I said they were defending backwards. Like, how do you want this at the end when you've been convicted of a crime that you got
Yeah.
all these years facing and think that's okay? No, the purpose is you acknowledge it in the beginning. You
Yes.
get the help that you need in the beginning.
Yeah.
You go on about your life. You could have saved your career. It didn't have to go this way, St. John. That's what
No.
irritates me about this
Yeah.
case. It didn't have to go this way. He didn't have to be millions of dollars in the hole, getting all these attorneys who really didn't, do a good job, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even have to do any of this. It was a lot of publicity for everybody involved. Your name is out there. Everybody's talking about you. Look at us. We're talking about you.
Yeah.
So from that end, nobody wants to see another. People keep talking about a black man going to prison. Nobody wants you to, but you have consequences. I mean, there are consequences to your action. And then everything Tory said, he put his foot in his mouth. Like when he stood up and said, Your Honor, first of all, I want to acknowledge, because I have a respect for authority. So I respect you. I respect, the clerk, to my attorneys, to this person, to that person. You want to acknowledge and you want to honor them. Tory, this the same judge that you did a tweet and said, I'm sorry to say F this court and this order, or F this case, or whatever you said.
He forgot.
This the same judge you had to go in front of because you kept defying all his orders. So when did you start getting respect and authority for the court? When that happened? When you realized, oh shucks, he the one gonna decide whether I do time.
Yeah.
When did you decide that?
Jose didn't tell him that.
It ain't Instagram. It ain't my followers. It ain't the umbrellas that's gonna do my, decide whether I'm gonna do time. It's this joker up here. Oh shucks, let me respect them now. It's too late.
Yeah.
We have allowed this internet to run our lives, and it has put us in sometimes in really weird situations that they don't carry in real life.
Right.
So it's sad.
I think.
Hey, what's up, Deb? I think it's offering time in the tabernacle. Y'all love Pam and all this wonderful commentary and her.
Chat. I appreciate y'all.
Please hit that Cash App, hit that Zelle. I think Deb will put it in the chat again. Let's fill her up with a bunch of cash.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so she can cover the New York trial.
Oh gosh.
Yes, we got to send her to New York. We got to send her to Brooklyn. Brooklyn
With
bound,
her
baby.
With her flats on.
I might have to get me an Airbnb. That might be a while. I might have to be posted.
Yeah, that's another one that won't acknowledge their fault.
And you know what? We're going to sit here and we're going to talk about them.
So yeah.
Sit right here and talk about. We're talking about you right here. We're going to talk about you.
Yep.
Lord have mercy.
We have no mercy on your soul.
None. Another one that uses the Bible for nothing.
With all those highlighters and notepads sticking out of it.
Ooh, that Bible look like he got it from Moses.
Not Moses. I'm gonna read this statement one more time so y'all know what we're talking about if you just came in. So Tory did a statement, and we're not gonna go over my commentary because I did my own little soapbox in the beginning. But it has, to the umbrellas, I have never let a hard time intimidate me. I will never let no jail time eliminate me. See, he had a rhyme right there. Regardless of how Regardless of how they try to spin my words, I have always maintained my innocence, and I always will. What words were spent? Because we already said you never took accountability, so I don't really know. I don't understand that part. This week in court, I took responsibility for all verbal and intimate moments that I shared with the parties involved. That's it, and that's the problem. Sorry, that's the problem because you did not go. You were not convicted of sharing intimate moments, and you were not convicted of a verbal conversation. That's not what you was convicted of. That's the problem.
It was an action.
Yeah, it was an action. In no way, shape, or form was I apologizing for the charges I'm being wrongfully convicted of. And that's the Tory. That's the problem. I remain on the stance that I refuse to apologize for something that I did not do. And I almost believe that you believe it at this point.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so. I think he believes it. Yeah.
I think he does. I faced adversity my whole life, and every time it looked like I would lose, I came up on top. Well, that's not what they said when they was there. They said that you didn't had a hard life because you couldn't get over the death of your mom.
Yeah. So everybody has to suffer.
Yeah. Everybody's suffering because of that. Yeah. This is nothing but another moment where my back is against the wall and I refuse to stop fighting till I come out victorious. Tough times don't last, tough people do. To my family, friends, and umbrellas, thank you for your continued support. See you soon. Anybody know where this umbrella thing come from?
I don't know. I guess I'm not.
Interesting. Interesting name.
Maybe because he's so short, and he's always needed somebody to hold the umbrella for him. So.
I don't know.
That could be it.
Maybe that's spiritual. They're his covering. They block out all the storms in his life and the rain in his life, and they support him. They give him the support he needs. Oh, I don't know.
I know who that is. St. James. Your voice sounds familiar. I know who you are.
I'm not doing this, St. James, with you tonight.
So maybe that's it. I don't know.
But I wish him the best.
Right.
I wish him the best.
I asked why didn't he call the prom dress. I almost forgot about her. So y'all see the girl that was there for Tory with the little prom dress that went viral?
Yeah.
So she was there the last couple of days. She was there before, and I think they weren't letting her in the courtroom. I'm not sure. But she was sitting there. So she was there on Wednesday as well. No, Wednesday. What was Tuesday? What we in? Monday and Tuesday? Yeah, she was there Tuesday as well, but she didn't have the little gloves on. She just had a white dress. She had her ponytail. And she basically was mad at Meg, and she said she would even fight Meg because she felt like now she got to take off of work and lose her money because she got to be there for Tory. All because of Meg lied. And everybody was like, do you know him? And she was like, I've been in places with him or whatever, but I've never even had a chance to have a conversation with him.
Stalker.
Those are the people.
Yeah, stalker.
I was like, what? Let me take myself over here on this side of the hall.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, they said his label is called One Umbrella.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Well, I guess my theory is wrong.
Yeah, they knocked your theory off.
Well, you got the umbrella again, like I said, because he's short.
I like your explanation better. You said they block you from the storm. That was deep.
Yeah. I tried to help him out. I channeled his father. That's something his daddy would say. He'll put out in the atmosphere.
Well, his dad apologized for his behavior.
Well, they was grasping for straws the last day or two. They was going to apologize to everybody. They know that all his antics could lead to have an influence on. That's what people. Yeah, we do the law, but it's conduct yourself in a certain way. It may be good for you or better for you, but when you cut up, we can't help you.
Yeah, he got up there. The judge didn't smile, smirk, didn't when he was telling him I apologize because Romans chapter 13 tells him to respect authority. He was like, y'all need to just quit. Like, cut it out with all the scriptures because you gonna turn people. They probably gonna be like, yeah, no. If this how they act, I don't even want to be around them people.
It also says obey
Now
the
they
laws of
calling
the
on the
land.
Lord. It's not a convenient Lord, you know.
We said Romans chapter 13 tell him to obey authority, and he follows. So he was disrespect. He realized that outburst. He said he was just overwhelmed with emotion, so he wants to apologize. Actually, you almost showed we was like, that might be where he got a little bit of that from, because the way
that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, the apple ain't falling too far from that tree.
Sure didn't.
The daddy got a lot of mouth, and the poor boy got a lot of weapons. You know, they just use different antics for it.
Yes. Yes.
I ain't gonna say he got hands. He may have slapped Alcina, but he only slapped Alcina because he had his goons around him.
Yeah, he had his security.
Yeah.
Well, again, his security apparently to sound like enablers. If they, instead of telling you, hey, dude, you got a problem, you might want to go get help. Instead, they just say, oh, maybe you acting a little foolish. Let me bring you, take you home. But again, he's been able to apologize. He apologized to August Alcina. Then you come up with some undisclosed amount or whatever it is. And that's probably how he's been able to get away with some things, in my opinion.
Is that
he has got the serious short man complex I ever seen in my life. Him and somebody else we ain't talking about. Cardboard.
Maybe that's how Alcina got his money for that new skincare line he's hawking.
Oh, does he? I don't even.
Oh yeah. He got a big skincare line that he owns, and he's been really promoting that within the last 6 months to the year or so. So interesting. Yeah,
I could have got it from Jada.
Well, that's true too.
Y'all need to stop. This is going a whole nother way.
All right, Pam.
All right. Thank you guys for coming on. I'm about to get up off of here in a few minutes. Thank you guys.
Bye,
thanks.
Bye. Oh, bye, St. James. Bye, Pam. You take care. Tell Dave I said hi.
I will.
Okay.
All right, guys. So thank you to everybody that came up and gave their opinions and their commentary. I appreciate that. I'm going to probably come on tomorrow. I say that every day. I know I need to stop saying that. I need to just pop on like I did. But it always depends on my schedule, man. I just got back, and this LA time difference is I got to get my body right. But I'm definitely going to try to come on, because I was supposed to come on today and talk about Tasha K and Cardi B, because there was another filing. And I was supposed to talk about that today, but then he went with this statement and it just irritated me. So I decided to come on and talk about him. So now that I got that out of my system, perhaps I'll be able to talk about that tomorrow. So come back here, look out, make sure your notifications are on so that you can get whenever I come on. Thank you. All right. I love you guys. I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself and enjoyed the commentary. And on that, I am out of here. Thank you again for all of the super chats too. You guys were very, very, very generous and kind. That was very nice of you guys. I do not take it lightly, because I know that you don't have to do it. And I don't do it for that, but I definitely appreciate it. But if not, just at least make sure you hit the like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, so that we can consider this. We can still continue this legal, grown folk, unbiased analysis that we have over here. But until next time, I'll holler at you later.
Yeah. So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping, cause they lack the knowledge they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies, because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.